When we left off the last episode, Twinstar had appeared out of Soigane's seabay. She explains to him that she is his servant and promptly teleports them into a vast desert. Soigane inspects the desert and realizes it's inside of Gravebuster. Landing very clumsily, Twinstar is winded and reveals her true form, two small sprites, Twin and Star. While inspecting them, Soigane is surprised by a huge pyramid coming out of the sand. Scared beyond belief, Twinstar hides in his seabay, claiming they are just guides, not fighters. The tomb begins to explain how Soigane must join forces with him to defend the tomb from intruders, tomb raiders. As the pyramid is detailing how they must pass the level, Soigane starts walking away, not concerned with a random quest. He is stopped in his tracks after the pyramid claims that Soigane must not want to save Rei. Confused, Soigane asks him how he knows that before a powerful blue ice beam is shot right behind him. Further in the desert there are the intruders that the pyramid was speaking of. One of them, who goes by Ayu, shot the ice-powered laser beam and is aggravated he missed, while he charges up for another attack. The presumed leader of the group, Phoebe, sends the other member, Farhan, to distract the pyramid while they wait for the next ice beam. Now aware of the danger, Soigane says he's ready to become a tomb guardian, and the pyramid starts glowing green once again. By shooting a green beam next to Soigane, an orb appears before transforming into Shostia, the spirit of the desert. She proceeds to ask if he is her master, Soigane, and he confirms, causing her to become ecstatic, and she starts kissing him. He remembers that the scarf he always wears was given to him by his grandfather. Shostia is extremely happy and claims that she broke the seal on his memory, and all of his forgotten memories should come back now. The pyramid begins to laugh, stating he's glad Soigane remembers now. A window proceeds to open on the top of the pyramid, and it reveals Soigane's grandfather, Yuki Riku, which shocks Soigane. After being attacked by Farhan, the three of them enter the tomb, and Yuki describes it as Yuki 34, a guardian giant specifically made for the level they are in. Farhan gives it everything she's got and thinks she has defeated the tomb and unlocked the treasure. However, it only broke the pyramid, which was just the shell for the Yuki 34 guardian giant. It emerges and Farhan continues firing missiles at it. Ai is done recharging and fires his ice beam directly at the giant, blowing off the left leg and knocking it down. Inside the cockpit, Soigane cycles until he comes across a pistol for the guardian giant, and gives Shostia control of the shot, while he calculates where the enemy is. After finding the enemy, Soigane tells Shostia to fire, which she does. Phoebe, however, was expecting this, and uses her cards as a shield to deflect it back at the guardian giant. After recovering from their own attack, Soigane looks over to Shostia, who has been hypnotized by Phoebe to waste the cannon shots on her green clover targets. While Soigane is trying to stop Shostia from wasting the last round, Farhan takes advantage and attacks with force, sending her centipedes into the armor of the giant. After that attack, Soigane recovers to see Yuki phasing in and out on the floor. Yuki states he knew his time in the game was limited and that Soigane must defend this tomb to save Rei. He also adds that Soigane is the last tomb guardian and that he must believe in himself. After saying this, he slowly disappears out of the world. Soigane, who begins crying, starts emanating blue light, and his scarf is electric blue. As Farhan leaves on her flying centipede thinking she has finally defeated the tomb, she sees a blue flash on one of her centipedes, moving much faster than her and the others. She alerts Phoebe and Ayu, who see a determined Soigane flying at them with speed. Soigane then cuts off Farhan in the air and summons a green clover in front of her path, causing Shostia, who is still in the giant, to fire. The shot hits Farhan and then perfectly lined up to the cards that Phoebe had placed, causing her to be blasted as well. Ayu was extremely confused as he looked at Soigane standing on one of the cards, wondering if he was a guardian and explaining that guardians have been gone for a long time, so it couldn't be. Soigane claims the title of the last guardian, and a scared Ayu rushes to fire a shot at him, not realizing Soigane had Phoebe's cards, and his shot ends up coming right back at him. After the battle was won, Shostia congratulates Soigane, but is unhappy to explain that she cannot continue his journey with him. She explains that she is part of the hidden level, And since the level has served its purpose, she has to despawn with it. She embraces Soigain and says she believes that he will save Rei. As shows Tia disappears into nothingness, a woman is heard maniacally laughing as she appears behind Soigain, saying a mere boy as her competition will be easier than she expected. She tells him to listen closely as she proclaims that even though Yuki Rika picked him as the last guardian, he really isn't. She claims that title. With that, she then shoots Soigain point blank with a shotgun. When he wakes up the next morning, he checks his chest and still sees the wound of the bullet healing quickly. He then receives a phone call on his C-Bay, coming from a mysterious number claiming that he was Temujin of Totems, and he was waiting for him in Grave Buster. He continues to say he also has Rei, proving this by sending him a picture of her. This enraged Soigain, and the next day he researches about Grave Buster, learning that the current ruler of the game is Dark Tiger, leader of the group Precious. The group was the wealthiest in the game, and were ruthless on how they acquired it. More recently, however, the group has been challenged by other rising groups. He meets with Rancho and his friend in the library, where Rancho explains that his friend was a beta tester on Grave Buster and has a lot of knowledge. After explaining what he knows, the beta tester exclaims that Temujin of Totems was the leader of the new group, Totems, which has been challenging Precious. He is known as a ruthless villain that robs and steals from other players for more power. Elsewhere, the Tomb Raiders from before are in a saloon celebrating a recent successful robbery of some new rich players when they see a man sobbing. Wondering what's wrong, Ayu walks over to check, and after doing it is thoroughly shaken. He explains that the man was the leader of the generals, which were the financial and military backbone of Precious, and that they were completely wiped out. According to him, an insanely strong woman appeared and defeated them, stealing all of their rare items and wealth as well. Not fully believing the story, the Tomb Raiders continue robbing players. On a routine trapping of new players, their leader, who goes by Wild Wolf, achieves $50 million in game. As he is about to rob the other players he trapped, a shotgun is fired and it destroys the barrier holding the hostages. The same mysterious woman that shot Soigain announces her presence and claims the Tomb Raiders are going to die. At that moment, the other Tomb Raiders rush into action, attacking her. They surround her and tell her to drop her weapon, which she does, but once it hits the floor, it creates a large red barrier around the three other Tomb Raiders, leaving her alone with Wild Wolf. As he tricks her by acting like he is selling out his team members, he stabs her in the back, to which she doesn't even flinch. She claims that his sword is very interesting, however it has one strong drawback: it robs the wealth of whoever has lower, the user or the victim. He laughs as he proudly states he has over 50 million. She calmly shows hers, and as it continues to rise, they all realize she is one of the so-called billion players, and only around 5 people in the whole game have more. After robbing him, she summons a gigantic gold brick to crush him. After the explosion, the barrier releases, and Phoebe shouts at the woman, asking her for her name. The woman laughs and proudly shouts that she is the Collector, and calls Tomb Raiders an eyesore, promising to wipe every Tomb Raider off the face of the world one day. Laughing, she then drives off in her chariot. Deep in his lair, Dark Tiger is being informed by his messenger that the one who attacked Precious was the Collector. Elsewhere, Soigain goes back into Grave Buster to meet with Lao Long. However, he is presenting a fighting competition in the Coliseum. Not wanting to pay the $50,000 ticket fee even though he was a billion player, Soigain has Twinstar fly and carry him above the stadium. On their way, they come across Takashi, a young boy with the same idea of not wanting to pay. He was climbing the side of the Coliseum until Twinstar picked him up. Above the stadium, they see the battle going on between 2 ice users, Mammoth Viking and Ayu the Tomb Raider from before. It is announced that the winner will win $10 million, and the match begins. As they speculate who will win while flying in the air, Takashi explains that he deserves to win the prize money, not either of the competitors, and as he shouts this, his book starts glowing. He claims that this book made him stronger only by taking pictures and not fighting any monsters. Surprised by the bright light, Twinstar drops both of them into the arena on top of Aya, knocking him out. In a wild turn of events, the announcers check the rules and realize that anyone who beats one of the competitors is allowed to compete in their place. There is also a catch: all abilities of the intruders will be cut in half. Now in the arena, Takashi explains he has to win the money for his friend Mekin, who is deathly ill. They start fighting, however Soigain learns that each time Takashi attacks with the book his photos are burnt. Not wanting Takashi to waste his memories, he stops his attack. Twinstar acts quickly and uses the Mammoth Viking's low intellect to distract him by dancing. Soigain shows Takashi the empty photos, letting him know that every attack made the memories disappear. After letting Takashi know that he shouldn't use his memories to save Mekin, Soigain then offers to take his place in battle and fight Mammoth Viking. As he does, the announcers claim he hasn't even completed the training level and he's a complete noob. The Mammoth Viking feels insulted and holds nothing back as he attacks Soigain. He is able to dodge the attacks at first, however Mammoth Viking unleashed a powerful ice beam from his staff, trapping Soigain. Just as the Mammoth Viking goes in for the finishing blow, Twinstar jumps in to block the attack. She tells Soigain he owes her one as she starts glowing bright green, claiming to be transforming into her final form. Except she transforms into the tiny sprites by accident. Mammoth Viking, being a complete idiot, thinks the sprites are adorable, and can't stop playing with them. Takashi then rushes in to save Twinstar, grabbing them both out of the Viking's hands. He proudly states to Soigain that he appreciates his help, but he has to do this on his own. Mammoth Viking then unleashes an ice storm straight at Takashi's back. He endures it using all his strength and protects Twinstar as she transforms back into her woman form, having been inspired by his bravery. The announcers then realize that Twinstar isn't a player at all but a grave beast, and one of the highest level ones at that. Flying in the air, Twinstar actually starts transforming into her final form, the legendary twin-headed Jade Dragon. She powers up an attack using both heads and freezes Mammoth Viking in his tracks, defeating him. After winning the grand prize, Soigain lets Takashi keep the entire 10 million and Takashi thanks him before teleporting away. Soigain then gets a call on his seabay from a naked Twinstar regenerating after the battle, who explains that the grand prize was real money and not game currency before hanging up. Soigain had no idea he just let go of 10 million actual dollars and dropped to his knees. Still reeling from his oversight, he teleports out of the arena.